I've been in 6 fights, 6 physical altercations, schoolyard stuff in my life. How many of them did I win? Well, let's see if I can get through all of them in a half an hour. Hello, and welcome to My Daily Walk, the show where I, the Hollywood guy, walk around and talk about anything and everything except what I'm contractually bound to conceal. The email address here is MyDailyWalk@thiswaytv.com. If you email me, I will read it. I say that as an absolute statement, but we'll see. We'll see how many of them I read. But right now, get your email in and I'll read it. And if you want to guarantee being read or guarantee jumping straight to the head of the line, email me something about something you disagree with that you've heard. If I say anything that strikes you the wrong way, email me and I will definitely read that. Certainly on Fridays, maybe even on a Saturday, free stuff. If this is your first time listening, the structure of this show is basically this. It's a daily half-hour podcast and Monday through Saturday, each day of the week is a different theme. Monday is Meditation Monday, since humans are spiritual, let's meditate on Monday to start off the week. Tuesdays is a life lesson. That's what this episode is. Talk about something that happened in my life and see if I learned anything from it. Wednesdays are topical. There's so many different topics to talk about, and I've got a list, and I'm going through it on Wednesdays. Thursdays are kind of more right from the heart where I am right now. It's Hollywood themed Thursday because that's where I work. I am a Hollywood guy that works in the business currently, and on Thursdays I talk about it. I talk about what the business is like, and sometimes even what my project is like, what I'm working on right now. And Fridays, free form Friday. Literally, I hit record and start talking. I will read emails, but I will talk about whatever pops into my head. Fridays are fun. It feels like no prep. I just start recording. And then Saturday, it's a Saturday free stuff. It's different. Recently, I started recording a Wednesday episode, and the topic I picked, I couldn't get, for one reason or another, I couldn't get through it. I started recording in a bad location, had to stop, and then the second attempt, I still wasn't satisfied with the location, but I got to a point, got further, but I just didn't like how it was unfolding or something. But those will be part of Saturday free stuffs instead of the topical Wednesday. 2 separate Saturday free stuffs. In fact, I just scheduled them today. I put them on the calendar. That's when they will air a week apart. You'll hear take 1 and take 2 on Saturday. That's just an example of what happens on Saturdays. And then Sunday, just take a break and get ready for Monday. All right, I'm already rambling, so let me get to these fights. Very little bit of background. When I was 8 years old, 3rd grade, in gym class, they did a wrestling segment, like 6 weeks. I don't know. They rotate different sports to teach the kids in physical education and wrestling. I just took to it. I really enjoyed it. There's one other kid about my size, and we would go at it, and that's not a fight. But from 3rd grade to 5th grade, my first fight, I was in 5th grade. Or no, I was in 4th grade. The kid I fought was in 5th grade. Here's the story. School was, I think it was 3rd through 5th, or 3rd through 6th. That's right. The fight, I was in 5th grade and the kid was in 6th grade. Okay, get my facts straight. I had one best friend that we hung out. We walked home from school, hung out all the time. And he was below average height. and he still is, and he's still my friend, still my oldest friend, my best friend. We reconnected after decades. That's another story. But he was getting picked on. We were walking home. We were still on the school property in the field. This kid came over, and he was with the principal's daughter. And he was a sixth grader, and we were both fifth graders, and they were both sixth graders. And this kid had it in for my friend. He was picking on him. He was just picking on him. My friend might even, I don't know, might have, I know he was afraid, but I stepped in. I don't know. I don't know why this guy was doing this right in front of me. And it turned into a physical altercation. Kid was maybe a little smaller than me, or maybe my size, but he was older. And I took him down. I put him in a cradle. That's a wrestling move where you tie your opponent in a knot and he can't move. And if you do it right, you kind of lay on top of him and immobilize him. You could even cut off his air if you wanted to, but he's laying on the ground, and his girlfriend or the principal's daughter saying, "You better get off him, you better get off him." And he was like, "I'm going to hurt you if you don't get off me." I'm like, "You're going to hurt me. Dude, you can't move." Anyway, so it was over. We separated ways, and I remember crying. I'd never seen hatred, I guess, quite like that before. I cried. I cried that I had to fight a guy. I was 9 years old, 10 years old, 10 years old. Okay, fast forward a couple years, I moved to another city, and I'm in sixth grade. Yeah, so it was the next year. I moved across the country from one end to the other, and didn't realize what kind of neighborhood I was moving into, but it was several months into school. I think it was like the second semester. I felt like it happened at a time when I was familiar with my environment, comfortable. And I'm leaving class one day, walking to wherever my mom was parked, and boom, I'm on the ground. It was like it just got taken down. I don't know if it was a punch but somebody was on top of me. And I was just jumped. I was like, what the heck? And fortunately, my mom saw it. She was on him. The thing is, it happened so fast that I know I could have taken this guy. He just cold cocked me or whatever, caught me off guard. I didn't have any enemies that I knew of, and it was this kid in my class. He was a hoodlum type, but I guess he had it in for me. I don't know. I had no idea that was going to happen. No idea why it happened. And so, didn't win that one. That one was nobody won that one. It got stopped before it came to a resolution. Same town. A year later, I'm in seventh grade. Oh, I'm getting through these kind of quickly. A year later, seventh grade. So I'd been in the same town. I had friends. Different school, though. It was now a junior high. And there's one friend in my class made friends with this other guy. I knew they were friends, and I didn't have anything against this guy. Maybe I was smarting off in class or giving them answers. I don't know. I remember being vocal in my science class. That's the class it was. And I guess he didn't like something I said. Again, this time, it had rained out. He just dove at me right as class got out. I'm walking out the door, and there's like a muddy area, but there's a bench right in front of it, right outside the classroom door, and he tackled me over the bench, straight into the mud. Now, I had a whole nother year of wrestling under my belt by this time, so we're in the mud, and I'm on top of him with my knee and pretty much in his back, and pushing his face in the mud. I mean, not really. That's pretty much what I did, though. I put him in a hold, and he was just squirming in the mud, and I was keeping out of the mud. I was making sure he stayed in the mud, and I would keep, maybe I did put my knee on his back. I don't know, but then a couple teachers come and grab me. They yank me off of him, and they separate us and take us to the office. And this one was This is during school. The other two were after school, so there's no adults involved in those other two encounters. So this is the first time I'm taken into the office and I'm questioned because teachers have no idea what happened. Why are these guys going at it? And I had the upper hand when it was broken up, so they don't know who the aggressor was. And there were other witnesses. I'm like, I just walked out of class. This guy jumped me. I have no idea. So I didn't get penalized at all. I don't know what happened to him. Then later that same year, there's this short kid, but he was in the upper grade. He was in 8th grade. It's just 7th and 8th grade. I remember my sister having thought he was cute, so I knew the guy's name. Still know it now. I think. And this was during PE class, and I don't know. I just don't remember if I was a loudmouth kid or anything. I don't know why people just had it in for me. Maybe it was vocal because I like sports or like school or something. I don't remember. I just don't know. I never had a reason why these people would do it. They'd come at me. This guy threw a punch and nailed me, and it hurt. And that I was ready to fight him, but it was like he was dodgy. I couldn't get to him. Like, that's a different kind of fight. I'm a wrestler. I got to get to you and put you down. If you're dodging me, throwing punches. So he connected with the first one. I didn't even know he was going to throw a punch. He just threw it. Like, of course you're going to land a punch if you walk up to a guy and he doesn't know you're fighting. He punched me right in the nose. It's like, whoa. And I was ready to go at it. And again, I remember crying. I don't remember I cried. Cried at the first fight, after the first fight. The second one, the other guy jumped me. I'm sure it was emotional, but that's because I'm sitting in an office being falsely accused, maybe. But this kid punching me in the nose, like, I remember standing there and crying, like, he made me cry. Punched me in the nose and made me cry. It was like, why would somebody just do that? Why would somebody feel that way about another person? It was just confusing to me. I remember standing there stunned and then going, what's going to happen next? I know I can defend myself, but... So we got separated, put in the office, and that time I remember it being a little harder to convince whoever it was, the teacher or the principal, that I wasn't the aggressor. I don't know why. I just remember them just challenging me. And I didn't get any penalty. I don't know if he did either. Then, so that was fight number 4. Fight number 5. I'm going to count this as a fight because it's a story that traumatized me. It was that same school that same year. Okay, so I had a year where I had 3 fights. It was the town I moved to, and 4 fights in that town because the previous year was another school in that same town. So I lived in this town for 2 years and got into 4 fights in school. Except this last one was a kid that rode the bus. He was in the older grade. I'm pretty sure, because the high school's across the street, I don't think he was a 9th grader. I was a 7th grader and he was an 8th grader, I think. I'm pretty sure. And I remember his name too. And he, man, just had it in for me. One day, we are waiting. There's a bus stop across the street from the school. It's a city bus we would take. We're all waiting in line, and he's ahead, a few people, and he just turns on me. I don't know. He just started talking trash. I found a target to talk trash about, I guess, and it was such hateful stuff. I don't remember the words he was saying, but I just remember feeling hate directed at me, and I was bigger than this guy, but he looked like he was fast. He looked like he was, I don't know, he just had a chip on his shoulder for some reason. And he even spit on my pants. Like, he spit on me. And the last thing I wanted to do was fight. I just don't desire to fight anyone. I contemplated a physical altercation because I thought, well, maybe that would I contemplated because I had to decide if I believed it would stop him from behaving that way. When I realized it wouldn't, well, I don't know. I thought it wouldn't. or I just didn't want it would make me the instigator. And who knows? He may not fight fair. Anyway, not interested in fighting at all. One day at school, it was one of those days where you don't have class, but you go to school and there's all these fun booths and games and things you can do. You can just wander around campus. Teachers will be around to just monitor, and you go have fun, a fun day at school. And like for me, that's like the worst idea. Being turned loose on this campus with a guy that's just got it in for me. Like he just wanted to find me in the corner of the school and, I don't know, with he and his friends, mug me or something. I was like literally having to hide and run on the school campus. And I met this other kid, and I remember him, I think from the bus or something. I don't know how I met this kid who knew the other kid, and this kid that I met was big. Like I was a little bigger than the guy who was picking a fight with me. This guy was bigger than me. And I was like that movie, My Bodyguard. I didn't have to pay him or anything. I was just friendly to him. I was just like, that guy, I don't know what he has in for me. Do you think, can you just hang out with me for the rest of the day? We hung out, and at some point, I think we encountered the other kid, and he talked to him or whatever, but it still didn't do any good. And I was so tormented by it. I would go home, and I guess it's all that I could talk about, or I was traumatized. My mom was probably concerned for me. I don't know if she remembers this at all. I was in 7th grade. But I do remember my stepfather getting very upset. And he found out where the guy lived. He's like, let's go. We're going to go talk to his parents. I'm like, really? I was just along for the ride. He had this in his head that he was going to be able to talk some sense into this kid's authority figure. And we get there, and it's like his aunt or his grandma, and I don't know if she even spoke English. And then his older brother, who was only like a year or two older probably, sitting on the couch. So it's me and my stepdad, who was a pretty ornery character. And he's having a talk with some woman that I don't know if she even speaks. In my observation and estimation, there was nothing good that came out of that event, taking me over there, except maybe making it worse. Like, now this kid's probably really out for me. But it was toward the end of the school year. And I never saw that guy again after the school year was over. So that fight, that was a different kind of fight. It's the same thing that starts the other fights, but that one was just feeling the intense hatred, being the target of someone else's wrath. It's just, I think I may have already mentioned about a couple years later in college, prank gone wrong. I don't know if I've mentioned that or not. A series of pranks. It was not a fight, but that's a similar kind of thing. Encountering someone that doesn't like you. I mean, it's like those words, doesn't like you. Like, why do some people not like other people? Why does that enter people's hearts? Why? How? At what point are we so unhappy with ourselves or our circumstance that something triggers us? A hair trigger that turns us into, our spine goes stiff, and we arch our backs and puff our chest out and like act like we're the center of the world and shout back at somebody for some reason. And we all do it at some point. We all get animated and angry and self-centered and dissatisfied or something. We all can get into that mode. So those are the 5. There's one more that maybe kind of answers the question I'm just asking. What is it? Some people target others for their hatred. Not everybody does it. There are people that don't target any people at all. In fact, their hatred, because we all have hatred, their hatred is for ideas rather than people that believe them. Let's aim our spite, the things that we ridicule in our hearts. Let's aim it at ideas that are destructive. And that's a lifetime to break that down and parse it out. And so that's why we've got a lifetime at least to talk, and that's why I'm talking about it. Let's email me if you want that. If you're following me on that tangent or whatever, email me and I'll do an episode. Pick the name of it, maybe I'll name it that. Let you pick the name. But years later, so that was a string of fights, 5 from, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. Yeah, 3 years, 5 fights. Oh, I forgot to mention that first fight I was in. Before I left town, because I moved right after that, 6th grade, 5th grade to 6th grade. Later in the year, we were on the same baseball team. My mom, or I decided I wanted to play baseball, went on a little league team, and I just so happened to be on the same team as the kid that was my first fight. And he was so nice to me. He was so nice. So, I guess we had that altercation, and I know he remembered me, and something in him had changed, or he realized that maybe he realized I was a nice guy. He never said sorry or anything. I just distinctly remembered it. I recall a distinct transformation in his demeanor toward me. And I had no problem. I didn't hold any grudges or anything. It was like, okay, we're on the same team. I'm glad you're being nice to me now. Move on. All right. So those 5 fights in 4 years, or 3 years, sorry. 5 fights in 3 years. And then, how many years later? 7th grade, how old was I? 12. 11? Yeah, something like that. 12. 13? Oh, my son is in 8th grade, and he is 13, yeah, so 12 or 13. And so about 5 years later, I was out of high school, not in college, so maybe I should have been a freshman in college at that point. I was 18 years old, and I'm out at a party location. Not a party, but just a park, I guess. Yeah, I remember it was a park. I think it was a Friday or a Saturday night. I was just hanging out with a few friends and people I didn't know. People that my friends might have known, just a few people just hanging out. And there was this big guy. No, I don't mean big like muscular and mean looking, just taller and definitely more stout. His hair was long. And I don't know exactly what the nature of our interaction was initially. I guess a friend of mine knew him, or I don't know, he said something to me that just, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way, and I snapped. And I got in his face, I said something, I was like smart talking to him. He was a bigger guy, and maybe it was like a Napoleon complex. I don't know. I'm not small like Napoleon, but I don't know why. I remember thinking to myself, it's like I'm a little over the top here, but I don't care. I'm all pumped up if this guy wants to fight me. In fact, I don't know. I was on a hair trigger for some reason. It's the only time this has ever happened in my life. It's on a hair trigger, and I jumped him. We rolled around on the ground for a little bit, and I put him in. There's a lot of different names for this depending on where you are a wrestler, but I put him in like a cowboy. So it's basically my shoulder blades are kind of on his chest or on his, and my across, like crosswise. My shoulder blades are on his chest and sternum, I guess you would say. And his head is tucked right up into my armpit and his arm. You know, in wrestling, you can't have the head without the arm, and so it was habit. I didn't need it. This was out in the park. Didn't need the arm, but you want to control the arm as well, because that's what he can use to fight back. So I had both his head and his arm. His other arm was like flailing about, and I was squeezing off his air because I've got my elbow basically in his neck, and I'm just squeezing it into my body, and I'm asking him if he likes breathing. Do you like breathing? I mean, I'm laying on my back, all of my weight. Basically, I'm up on my heels. It's the only thing propping me up. The rest of my weight is on his neck and chest. On my back. I'm looking down at his face in my armpit, squeezed up tight. He can't breathe, and I feel his air stopping. Like I can cut it off if I want to, and I just show him a little bit, and then I stop, and then then we're done. I don't know why I did it. I don't ever want to have to do that. I would never do it by choice again. Like I was 18 years old, my life changed in a dynamic way that year. Later, I guess it was a fighting spirit or something. And so let me tally. That's the history. That's my fight history. And that's an interesting question. How many people have been in physical altercations? Has anybody been in a fight? Email me if you have and tell me about it. I know not everybody has, and some people have been in more than one. Some people have only been in one. I've been in 6, and I was a wrestler also, even in college, and so that's a different kind of fight. That's like the baddest of the bad asses do that. And now it's turned into mixed martial arts. The first winners were grapplers, and that was me. Kind of started, and then anyway, email me. What is it about fighting? Why do some humans feel the need to target other humans? I mean, target them in the sense of actual harm. Not targeting to talk down to them, but actually bringing physical harm. So much hate that you would risk your own health and well-being by attacking someone else. I don't understand it. For full disclosure, I was actually going to talk about something else on the calendar today, but there was another one. I was contemplating swapping it out, and that's this one, 6 fights. I don't need any more. I haven't had anyone as an adult, and hope I never do. But I try to stay in shape. I know I could handle myself if I had to. I can't kick a bullet out of the way. I would have to react very quickly to a knife. But hand to hand, I'm fairly confident in my ability to avoid injury if I'm not blindsided. You can never expect or predict, or can't do anything about the blind side except just be alert at all times, on your toes in public when you're around other people. That's it. That's all you can do. You can't. You gotta keep I guess that's how you avoid the blind side. And then I don't carry a weapon. I hope I never would need to carry a weapon. But a weapon is, depending on what you think you might encounter, you might need one in some circumstances. So we took this fight topic all the way. Well, not all the way. There's war. There's a whole nother topic. Maybe that'll be one for topical Wednesdays at some point. But not today, or not tomorrow. We've got another topic tomorrow. Well, yeah. Tomorrow's going to be called Death Machines, I believe. There, I haven't done that in a while. I haven't announced the next topic. All right, well, 6 fights.